Hi, my name is David P Shapiro. I'm the owner and managing partner of the law office of David P Shapiro located in San Diego, California, where my firm helps good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. This video, I want to talk to you about some misconceptions and clarify a lot of things as it relates to federal bail, particularly federal bail in San Diego, and how it differs from state court bail. Let's first start with federal bail. A lot of times people will get arrested and they'll have a federal court case and they'll have a first appearance within a couple of days before a magistrate court judge. And in addition to entering a plea of not guilty, the judge will set release conditions if he or she believes release is appropriate. Now in state court, when you're dealing with bail, a lot of times it is monetary bail or cash bail. And you hear a lot about California trying to reform its bail structure in a lot of states also throughout the nation. If it's a state court case, and monetary bail is set, let's say it's $50,000, you could post $50,000, which not a lot of people have readily available. You could put up $50,000 and then some in equity in a property, but most commonly you're going to a bail bondsman, you're paying a bail bondsman 8 to 10% or 7 to 10% of that amount, and they're putting up the rest as a surety, and your loved one or you are bailing out of custody. Well, in federal court, it's not that simple because in federal court, a lot of times, federal court does not rely upon the cash bail system that state court does in California. Federal court relies on signature bonds, they rely on property bonds, they rely on some cash deposit, sometimes a combination of all three. And that a lot of times will depend on the citizenship of the accused, whether or not they're a United States citizen or not, whether they're a resident or not, whether they have any legal standing in the United States or not, what their connections are to San Diego. Do they own property here? Do their parents own property here? Do they work here? What's their job history? What's their stability of their employment? And then also, what is the severity of the charges, right? The least severe, the least serious charges, the more likely you're going to get a favorable bail. But a lot of times what we'll see is there'll be conditions where you have to not only sign for it yourself, but you'll have to sign for another financially responsible adult, an FRA. And then you have to find someone who says, hey, if so-and-so doesn't show up, I understand I need to pay this amount as sort of because of the fact that they skipped out on bail. Other times when property's involved, it gets a little more complicated. When straight cash is involved, it gets sometimes a little complicated because you need to show that that wasn't the product of any illegal enterprise and that there's a paper trail that money's legit, it's clean money. Because what the courts and what the government doesn't want are basically people putting up drug money or proceeds of criminal enterprises to post bail. So these are things that we all have to think about whenever we represent, as attorneys, someone charged in federal court. What's the least restrictive bail conditions we could propose? What's realistic that the client can make? And what is the best use of that client's resources? Sometimes, admittedly, the best strategy may be to stay in custody and fight your case on the inside. There are reasons for that. Each are discussed in depth, with each client, depending on the unique facts and unique circumstances of their case. So if you or a loved one have any questions about federal bail, you have a loved one that's in custody, or you have an ongoing federal case and you need help, my firm is just one phone call away. The law office of David P Shapiro can be reached at 619-295-3555.